Hello, welcome to the Birmingham Property News Show. My name's Ewan Rankin. I'm a photographer here in Birmingham, and I'm here to host the show. I know very little about residential properties and that kind of stuff, but that helps the situation. Joining me are our fair pair. I've got Krish, who's from Barrows and Forrester here in the Jewellery Quarter in Birmingham, and giving us his view. And out and about, the roving reporter in Newcastle with the bridge in the background, James Forrester. How are you both doing, fellas?
I'm good. Yeah, not too bad.
How are you?
Excellent. What takes you up to Newcastle then, James?
So, as well as Birmingham, we actually are building a development of 126 student apartments. So I'm currently up in meetings with the architects, the contractors, everyone involved in the project. And I mistakenly forgot about the Wednesday evening. So I've run out of the restaurant, which is there behind me. And I'm in the freezing cold in Newcastle, ready to speak to all you lovely people watching.
Excellent, mate. Good to have you. And Krish, what have you been up to?
Yeah, not bad. Been busy as always, so I thought I'd obviously get my topic ready for tonight's show.
So let's start off with your first topic then. It's Birmingham awarded the 2022 Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, that's the one. I think it's going to be great for Birmingham. Obviously boost the economy itself by around £500 million is predicted. 11 days of sport, which again is incredible. I'm a massive sports fan. But also on top of that, major investment into the venues, transport, housing and jobs. So all in all, I think it's going to be incredible.
What kind of specific changes do you see it making to your business as a property group? Are you involved in the property developments or?
Yeah, so I mean, in regards to the property industry for the Commonwealth Games, there is actually going to be an athletes' village being built on the former site of the Birmingham City University campus in Perry Bar. But after the games is finished, it's actually going to be turned into over 1,000 accommodation units. That's just one of the benefits that's going to be felt by the city itself, but that's huge. Providing again on the housing shortage and providing those accommodation for people looking to either invest or live in themselves.
James, what's your take on the Commonwealth Games for Birmingham?
I think it's great, isn't it? It's look at what happened to Manchester when they had it. I think it was absolutely amazing. So look, I'd love it to obviously be up in my hometown here in Newcastle. Which look at that bridge, it's lovely, isn't it? We've got a good shot now. We're light, but yeah, no. Look, bringing it back to Birmingham, it's fantastic. I'm lucky. I quite live very close to where the new swimming pool is going to go. Obviously, the Olympic-sized swimming pool for the Commonwealth. And I just think, forget about the properties at the moment and everything. Just what it's going to do for the local community. Everyone's going to get together. There's going to be that great sort of, cheering on all the sports stars. That party atmosphere as well. And after the games is finished, it's going to be a great legacy for the city as long as they get it right and the planning's done right and everything gets finished on time. I think that's one of the key things.
Well, we were short on time, weren't we? We were the only bid of a city after Durban lost it. We were the only one that put in a viable bid to actually take it on. So the pressure is on.
The pressure's definitely on, and I think I think it's been announced today, hasn't it? It's no secret now that the metro's not going to be finished. They're saying by when it's ready, because of the time scales, but. Look, I think it's just great for the city. I think obviously at the moment it's quite relatively news, and it's just everyone's getting excited. But I think it'd be great for the kids. I can imagine all the schools, really getting behind this when it's on as well, and the kids really, get it. And I think we'll also see some local sports, up and coming sports stars coming out of it as well, who will watch the Commonwealth and decide that they want to get into athleticism one way or another. And I think it'll be good for them as well. And it's going to be great for the city on my point, on the property value point. Manchester's done very well, property value-wise since the Commonwealth, and I expect Birmingham to follow suit quite rapidly behind it.
There was we talked last week about some of the duality of the decay in Birmingham. So we got vibrant areas and well invested areas, and others areas that were falling into really bad repair around the Corporation Street area and things like that. Do you see that the Commonwealth Games will probably get an injection of cash in order to solve those problems, or? And I was thinking as well, particularly about things like Paradise Circus, which is in a bit of a state at the minute, and with the collapse of Carillion, looks like it's not going to be finished for any time soon. Is there going to be injections of cash to get that kind of stuff mopped up before the world starts watching us, or is that going to be kind of hidden over?
I think personally, my own opinion, I think it'll be hidden over. a little bit, because obviously a lot of it's going to come from private funding as well. I just hope there'll be some nice projects that do come out that, you know, help things like the home, you know, the homeless, you know, from there. But I think, you know, what we'll see is, you know, a lot more going into sports, and it'll have that as well. You know, but I think you're going to have that in every city, to be honest with you, and no matter where it is. You know, Manchester, since the Commonwealth, it has a huge homeless problem as well. It hasn't, you know, it's an unfortunate thing.
Not a
And I
magic
think
wand.
we're just in this world now today where, you know, that will continue. But I just do hope that it, you know, the council, you know, the businesses that, you know, the larger corporations will get behind it and, you know, be able to find, you know, some solutions that will help others that, you know, obviously need that help.
What's the how do they get rid of the properties and that kind of stuff? Because I mean, you've got an athletes' village going up. You're talking about redevelopment of the Perry Bar site for Birmingham Uni. There's a lot of infrastructure already there, but that's going to be collapsed, I would have guessed. Is there? Do they just go out to? I'm aware you probably can't answer it definitely, but do they just go out to agents like yourself and help with the process of removal of the properties, or?
No, they'll do what there'll be some obviously compulsory possibly purchase orders made, obviously to allow the expansion of it as well. What we will get though is, as a property company, we will start to see people approach us for, especially for investment in the high areas. We're already starting to get it, for example, in the areas of Smethwick, obviously, which is where the new swimming baths is going to be going on the Londonderry playing fields. And we're already seeing the savvy investors are already contacting us, asking to help them, you know, get the properties at the right value in that area, so they can get them, you know, renovate them, you know, and then have them ready for the games where they'll get a maximum rental value.
Yeah, good. £500 million allegedly in upturn.
Yeah,
that's net benefit for the city of having it, not expenditure into it. Where's that £500 million going to get spent, do you think, afterwards? I'm really cautious here of not being too cynical, because there's a bit of me's like, wow, we're getting the Commonwealth Games. Wow, we're getting a whole load of traffic jams. Wow, we're getting loads of people that we don't know flooding through the place. And I
think it's got to go on public transport and obviously the road networks, because we know we're quite congested as we are. But as long as I think the improvements go into that, and the main thing is the money that comes into it, as long as the local economy benefits, and not just. And I'm not just talking about, you know, your hotels and your coffee shops and things like that will benefit while the run up to the games and while the games is on. But I mean, for, you know, the next 5-10 years after. And I think the more infrastructure projects that we see take place, and that money's being used wisely after that, then I think that's really going to help.
Yeah. Chris, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, just to go back onto previous ones, I mean, Manchester, like James has mentioned, Glasgow as well. You know,
of course,
I
I
believe
forgot about
that generated an extra £390 million to their economy, produced around 1,200 jobs as well. So if that can happen for Birmingham as well, it's going to be incredible. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's a comment here on the story that you posted, Chris, about Midlands being one of the most diverse populations in the UK. And that's got to be positive. You were saying about new athletes there, James. We've got a strong, and in the video that's on that website, there is a diversity of people there and young athletes who are coming through. There was a girl there talking about coming to the youth championships before, and then her goal is 2022. She's too young at the moment to think about.
Yeah, look, as
level.
I said, I think it's just going to be great. You know, it's you know, look, we're a property company, it's a property show, but I think, you know, we'll all agree if we can see the young ones really get inspired from this, you know, moving forward. You only have to look at London 2012, don't you, for the Olympics, you know, how much that took off afterwards. And I think, you know, if the schools really get behind it as well, then, you know, we're going to see the younger generation come through with a lot to aspire, you know, from all different backgrounds. And I think that's one of the key things I want to see, you know, coming from the Commonwealth. Yes, obviously property growth and everything, but, you know, let's see the young generation get really behind it and, you know, and have a great time and enjoy it.
Is this Birmingham? Birmingham's the city that's won it, obviously, but I mean, if you look at London 2012, I think all the canoeing was done in Nottingham and all of the mountain biking was done down in Essex and that kind of stuff. Is the whole Midlands going to get something from this rather than it just being Birmingham, or is it?
Well, it is, isn't it, if you think about it, because the swimming pool's obviously in Smethwick, you know, which is obviously on the Sandwell, so it's obviously on the outskirts of Birmingham as well. I think the only thing I believe that's not going ahead, I think there'll be a few things like the canoeing, etc., because obviously the infrastructure is just not going to be there. And I believe the cycling dome is being built in London for this, so there's going to be a bit of there. I just thought it's a bit disappointing that the whole games aren't going to be in Birmingham. But if
That's a lot of
90%
infrastructure to build, though, isn't it?
That's well, if 90% there, that's good enough for me. I think we'll still benefit really.
Yeah, absolutely. 11 days of games, that's a lot of infrastructure to build, and a cycling arena is massive.
Yeah.
It's going to be an exciting 11 days.
What's your favourite event then, boys?
Mine.
What are you going to go and see?
As you can tell, I don't really do sports. I watch it, but out of all of it, I'd probably say the canoeing. Actually, I think I did use the canoe when I was young, and I just think it's quite a technical, sport to do. Quite dangerous as well. But obviously the fitness and what they go through, I just I think it's quite nice. But I think also the stadium games. I think when you see the hurdles and the relay, etc. That's just something really to get excited on.
And here's me thinking you were going for the cycling.
Well, it's in London, isn't it? Not Birmingham. So
no. But I mean the road, because I was thinking about the road races. So the old Chris Boardman, not Chris Boardman, Chris Froome might be in the road races. We're particularly flat around. We've got a few hills, but they're not exactly the Pyrenees, are they?
No, that's true. Going up Clent Hills is probably not the same.
Clent Hills or Clee Hills, for that matter.
Clee Hills.
Clee Hills. Chris, what's your favourite?
It's going to have to be the boxing for me, and also the athletics. So athletics at Alexander Stadium, and I think the boxing's at the NEC, I believe. I've got a list where the sports are going to be taking place, and they are scattered around. Coventry Arena, Villa Park for the rugby sevens, squash at the Uni of Birmingham. But there is a lot of things at the NEC, Birmingham Arena, altogether. I think the cycling, it did say Cannock Chase, so I'm not sure if that's changed with what James was saying about London.
Good, well, mountain biking's now new, isn't it? Mountain biking's now, I think.
Yes.
So the mountain, I think the mountain road track and para track, from what I can see here, is going to be at Cannock Chase. That's what it says on their website, anyway. So I'm not sure.
Is it Cannock Chase hilly or is it flat?
No, it's hilly.
Oh, right, that's cool. Good then. I don't know what Cannock Chase looks like. Shame on me.
Same.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, we're moving on to my
well, so no, I was just about to do that link. I was going to say, if we're getting rid of student accommodation or athlete accommodation, that's going to be a lot of opportunity for first-time buyers, for young buyers, and also then hopefully put a dent in the rental market, James. But you're saying that the rental market is expecting a bit of a boost this year.
Yeah, well, it's going to explode the predictions are saying by 75 billion in 2019 alone.
Up by 75 billion.
Well, worth 75.
Worth 75. Sorry, right, okay. So the crux of the problem here is that there's an awful lot of properties out there, but a lot of people that have got ownership are buy to let, and there's a serious issue on the property ladder for particularly young people getting in.
I do. It's a tricky one to get right. No one's been able to solve this issue for years, and I don't think it is going to get solved, quickly over the next, few years or 5-10 years anyway. I think one of the main things we have to look at is, what young people are saying is that one of the biggest struggles is not having enough money for a deposit. And if they can only save a 5% deposit, if they're doing a first-time buyer mortgage, for example, they've got a lot of conditions attached to it. They typically get a higher rate, normally around 5 or 6%. So they want to be, saving up to, a 20% deposit. But, even if you're buying somewhere for £200,000, to get a 20% deposit saved up, it's very difficult for people, especially if they're renting in the meantime and they're paying market rent. Don't forget, a lot of people will say that landlords are exploiting it and they've increased the rent and everything, but that's not always the case. That's the market rent. And if people are prepared to pay it, then obviously landlords are going to charge it. It's just a supply and demand, model. And with the PRS, of course, they're trying to streamline things, provide the all-inclusive rental, which we're seeing a lot more of. So, your tenant can rent for £800, for example, for a one-bed in Birmingham city centre, which is going great. But then they might have all their bills included within that.
There's an awful lot of money there. I mean, you're talking about people who have worked, lived lifelong and saved lifelong, who have their own properties, and they couldn't lay their hands on 60 grand.
Yeah. I think that's the problem, is that from generations ago, obviously properties were very cheap, but the way that you could buy was a lot different as well. And them say, that's not available these days, where, the younger generation coming through are having to learn the hard way, in doing that. And then you're always hearing, about, the bank of mum and dad, the bank of grandma and granddad now, and everything as well. And it's an unfortunate thing, because I'm a big believer that I do believe there needs to be more affordable housing available. And when I mean affordable housing, that doesn't mean social housing. If it just means where if it's apartments in the city centre, they need to be affordable based on the wages in the area. Because I think at the moment, yes, there is the influx of obviously international investors. Birmingham's very much now on the international scene, and they want to be snapping them up, and then they're renting them out. But I have said this before previously, and I'm still a big believer of it. The reason that a lot of the developers do go internationally is because the international buyers are happy to buy off plan, and they make their decisions very quicker, where local buyers don't really want to buy something today and wait 18 months for it to be finished. They want to be able to walk in and feel it and touch it, etc. But unfortunately, they end up paying the premium for doing so.
Question from John here in the chat room, and he's saying, is the price of the is the amount that the people are? I'm trying to paraphrase it. Sorry, is the amount that people are being expected to pay as a deposit the issue, or is the fact that they can't physically afford the property the issue?
I think there's a bit of both.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I think there's a bit of both, because I think you have to look at, when you go back to it, as if it's like if you had to travel an hour to work because that's where you could afford and get a nice property, then, I know from my generation that's acceptable. And that's what would happen, where nowadays, if some, and don't forget, you might get stuck in, I only live 6 miles out the city centre, and I get stuck for an hour every day in traffic. But a lot of people will look at it and go, no, I need to be 3 miles out the city centre and I won't budge. And I think that's the difference of, it's about living within your expectations as well, based on your earnings also. And you have to be a bit more flexible. The world is changing. Birmingham is changing. And there's some fantastic places on the outskirts as well. You've just got to look around, and then you will find the deals.
Chris, what's your view?
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. I live a bit further out than James, and it takes me, easily an hour to get into work. But I'm that sort of generation that James is sort of speaking about there, where,
Right.
trying to save for a deposit myself. At the moment, I've got it a little bit easier where I do live at home, so it's not as bad where I'm not paying rent. But if I was, in a different city, or if I chose to rent, trying to save up for a deposit, it's difficult. If you've got your rent, your food, your bills on top, and then you've got any other expenses, it is getting more and more difficult. But like James said, you have to live within your expectations, and you've got to sort of have that plan of trying to save as much as you can as quick as possible to try and get that deposit available. But it is proving difficult. It's not as easy as people saying. Especially if you do have external circumstances where you are renting. And that's just the way that it is at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame. There's I fear for my own kids. I have to say the opportunity for my children to get a property without my help is fairly limited. It's not.
I think it's the same here with my children. Obviously, for when they're going to get to that point, and it's now you're thinking, what can you do for them? Already. And mine aren't going to be buying a property for another 10 years. And already it's in the back of your head about what you're doing for them to be able to afford one, where, obviously many years ago that would never cross a lot of parents' heads. They would always wonder about to get into it, but it would be that natural case where they would go on and just get a property. It's just getting a bit more difficult these days as well.
Mm.
But we have to battle on. And I think the key message is, people have to adapt, from there. But on a plus side, rents, it's market rates that we do see. And I think one of the key things is you've just got to look around, and go for value for money. And as long as you get in value for money, based on location, facilities, amenities, etc., and the quality of the property, and as long as you're happy, then there's no reason why renting's a bad thing either.
Is there a government intervention required at this point? I mean, I'm not sure what they could actually do anyway legally, but is there encouragement to the banks to offer far lower deposit rates or far lower rates against lesser deposits? Is there anything that can be done?
I think there can be, but it's going to take a lot longer. I don't think anyone's got the the magic stick yet of what the right. I think no matter what you do put in place at the moment, I think there's always going to be pros and cons to that. But look, we've got to look at it. The days of being able to buy something for £100,000 in a city centre is long changing, and I think I might be a bit upfront here, but a lot of people are still stuck in the past. and we have to look at things like the Commonwealth and the Metro and New Street and everything that's changing. That will have a positive impact on the city centre, but then obviously the suburban areas will also get an impact of that as well. Moving outwards, and it's one of them that you have to. You've just got to look around and, as I say, find it. But renting's not a bad thing as well. So don't forget, as I say, if you're getting the right property in the right area and the right value, and as long as you're happy with that, then there's no reason why you can't continue to rent for 10, 15 years.
Excellent. My story.
Can I be cheeky?
Yeah, go on then.
Can I leave you two to discuss this one?
Oh, okay. You're getting colder, are you soft? Has the south softened you up, mate?
I'm absolutely freezing, and I'm a bit worried now that I've left everyone, and they're probably thinking they're either all upstairs watching, or they're actually thinking I'm going to run her.
Well, they're not in the chat room throwing any insults, so yeah, go for it. Great to see you, mate.
Right, guys.
Have a great evening.
See you later.
Yeah, no, Chris, my story. James has still not got his ear. Here we go. Oh, he's taking us back in the restaurant. No, he's gone. There we go. My story, Chris, was really to talk about Chinese New Year. Of course, it started yesterday, 5th of February, and it's going on for the next 19 days or 15 days, I think. And it's the Year of the Pig. There's going to be massive celebrations. Last year they had, I think it was Year of the Dog, and they shut down the whole of the Chinese Quarter. There was a concert that took place. There was loads and loads of food and beverage and that kind of stuff. And I just wondered if, because I know London celebrates it very big, very well, and we have the last couple of years. Is it something you're interested in, Chris? Are you going to go along and see what's happening down in the Chinese Quarter?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's only been sort of the past 2 years. I've never really been out to celebrate Chinese New Year or see the celebrations going on. But yeah, definitely. 100%. I think it'd be amazing. The quality of food as well, and just the way that they live. They're very happy-go-lucky. All together. But yeah, I'd definitely love to go and see that. I didn't realise it was on for what did you say? 19 days.
It's 15 days, I think. So Chinese New Year celebrations last for 15 days.
Jesus.
They know how to do it properly, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully there's loads of fireworks going on, lots of, a bit of drinking, bit of food, and everyone's having a good time. Definitely. I'd like to go and see that, actually.
So there are a list of road closures.
Yeah, there's always going to be a downside to it.
So on Sunday, you can expect, and over the weekend, you can expect there to be quite a few problems around Birmingham city centre. Effectively, the whole of Hurst Street is going to be completely shut off. So everything from the Queensway down, back towards the Arcadian, you're not going to be able to get anything through there. Walking even may be a bit of a, looking at the picture that I've just posted here from last year's event, even walking through probably is going to be a hell of a hustle and bustle. There's loads of great food on there. I've got a friend, Will Wong, who owns Chung Ying Central. His family do in the middle of Birmingham, and they've got a special venue on there as well for food from them. And their food's lovely. The dim sum especially is gorgeous. So you've got to get yourself along to that. It should
definitely
be a fantastic event. I'm certainly going to see if I can get the family to go up with me on Sunday.
Yeah, be careful though. Wouldn't drive.
No. We got all that Chinese beer on offer around there. So
yeah, definitely.
So
what is it? Just all sort of small stalls or like food stalls that you have? Or
I didn't go last year, but I was speaking to Will today, and from what he was telling me, last year was a really good riot. Everyone had a wonderful time. It was really good vibe around the area. The dragons were out and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I know I did. I was working at Heathrow many years ago, and there's a great big Chinese place there in a building called London House, which was a converted office. And they had several floors, and because it was such a big place, the tables were well spaced, and they had a massive dragon going through the whole of the restaurant and up and down the stairs, and they really got into it. It was fantastic. I was there on Chinese New Year for the dinner, so I can believe this is going to be absolutely loads of fun. So good to get yourself down if you can. I'm definitely going to try. Yeah,
definitely. They know how to party, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, no. I saw Will this morning. I said, I thought I'd see you with a hangover, and he's like, "No, I'm going to behave. I've got 15 days." He was pacing himself.
I was going to say, yeah, if it's 15 days, I have to take it easy for the first few.
Yeah, excellent. Brilliant. Right, so we've got a shortened episode because James was cold, and we haven't got into it quite as much as we did last week. We'll be back again next week. We'll have people in the studio. James will be back in the studio, and we'll have loads more topics to discuss. Where can, because this show is sponsored by Barrows and Forrester Property Group, who are based in the Jewellery Quarter. Tell us a little bit about them, Krish. What do you do?
Okay, so we deal with residential sales and lettings, for management service as well. So for anyone looking to sell, rent, even if you just want to have a chat about your options about buying or renting or anything at all, feel free to give us a call on 0121 296 2600, or feel free to visit the website, which is www.barrowsandforrester.co.uk. Feel free to come in, have a coffee, non-informal, just chat, and we'll be more than happy to see how we can help you with your property needs.
Excellent, mate. Thank you very much. My name's Ewan Rankin. You can get me at Ewan Rankin on Twitter if you'd like to follow me, and I own a company called 12 Space Media, which you're more than welcome to give me a call as well as. We'll be back again next week. Hope you have a great property week, and we'll see you soon.